Hey guys, it's Mrs. Malott. Today we are on lesson 4 of chapter 20. It's actually a separate PowerPoint. It's listed on the website as Healthful Living PowerPoint. And we have 5 objectives for the day, I believe. Let me look here, pull them up on my phone. They are to identify how many calories are in each gram of fat, carbs, and protein. Number 2 is to differentiate between simple and complex carbs. Number 3 is to identify the function of fat. Number 4 is to differentiate between saturated and unsaturated fat. And then the last is to differentiate between water-soluble and fat-soluble vitamins. And I have already handed out to you the table that has the minerals and the vitamins and so forth. So make sure you're starting to look at that. Memorize, especially here today, the difference between water and fat-soluble vitamins and things like that. All right, so getting on here with our lesson is, first of all, what is a healthy diet? It is when we have enough energy or enough calories in the food that we eat to get us through the day with just a little bit left over. We don't need a whole bunch left over, but a little bit left over at the end of the day. And at the beginning of chapter 20, we talked about different types of nutrients that give us energy. And the first one is carbohydrates. This really is our typical source of energy, or typical source of food for our body. So you will find carbs in foods like bread and cereal, fruit, vegetables, and table sugar. There's actually 2 different types of carbohydrates. You have the simple carbohydrates. These are the ones that pass quickly through your bloodstream. These are sugar, like the more sugary stuff, Smarties, fruit. All of those things are more simple type of carbohydrates. The complex carbohydrates, on the other hand, have to be broken down into simpler carbohydrates in order for our body to use them. So these are things like starches. So this would be your bread, this would be your rice, and things like that. They actually have to be broken down into more simple things in order to be used. Now, when we are eating our carbs, any of the carbohydrates that we don't immediately use gets stored in our liver as a substance called glycogen. Or the other option for these extra carbs is that it gets converted to fat and then stored elsewhere in your body. That's why you don't want too many extra carbs in your diet, because what happens is it gets stored as fat in your body. Now, for every gram of carbohydrates that you eat, there are 4 calories, or energy units. This is where we get our energy from. We kind of mentioned calories before when we talked about metabolism. Now, the second type of nutrient that gives us energy is protein. Any food that contains amino acids are considered to be a protein. Amino acids are our body's building blocks that help us rebuild tissue after it's been broken down. They also provide our body with fuel. So protein is a very important part of our diet. It helps us, like if you get a cut on your skin, helps it repair. It's another source of fuel, so they are very important. You're going to find protein in foods like lean meat, chicken, turkey, fish, and then peanut butter. Peanut butter is a really good source of protein. When you're eating your protein, there's 4 calories per gram in your proteins as well, in addition to your carbohydrates. Now, fat, on the other hand, fat kind of gets a bad name. Everybody, though, needs to have a little bit of fat on your diet, in your diet, I should say. Now, when we eat our fat, it does take our bodies a little longer to digest, but it does satisfy our appetites longer. Think about it. If you eat a salad or you eat a big fat juicy steak, which one, if you eat just that alone, which one are you going to be hungry sooner? Well, you're going to be hungry sooner after you eat the salad, and it's because the fat in the steak helps satisfy your appetite longer and keeps you fuller longer and that kind of thing. You're going to find fat in a lot of different places, but you can find it in butter, cooking oils, milk, cheese, meat, egg yolks, nuts, shortening, and lard. Now, every gram of fat that you eat actually has 9 calories, so it has more calories per gram. As far as functions, I mentioned to you already a couple times now that everyone has to have fat in their diet. Well, there's a reason for that. Fat has some very important functions that it does for our body. The first one is that it dissolves some vitamins. It helps protect our organs. It helps us stay warm. It helps us maintain healthy skin and hair. And we need fat for there to be some hormones to be produced. So for all of those reasons, every single person needs a little bit of fat in their diet. Now, there's 2 types of fat. You have unsaturated and saturated fat. The unsaturated fat is the kind that remains liquid form at room temperature. It's also the kind that does not build up plaque on the inside of our arteries, or doesn't build up fat in the inside of our arteries, getting, clogging up our arteries and that kind of stuff. Saturated fat, on the other hand, when they are room temperature, they remain solid, and they do build up storage areas on the inside of our arterial walls. So you've seen this before if you've ever fried bacon in a skillet. When you do that, after the skillet cools down, there's that white film at the bottom of the skillet. That is the fat. That is what builds up on the inside of your artery walls if you have too much in your diet. So that's why it's important to watch what type of fat that you eat as well. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about today are vitamins. Vitamins help us with different body processes, and you have that table. You can take a look at all the many different things that different types of vitamins actually help us do. But there's 2 kinds of vitamins. You have water and fat-soluble vitamins. When we eat water-soluble vitamins, they are absorbed directly into our bloodstream. But our body doesn't store them. So our body uses what it needs, and then we excrete them through the urine. And then we don't build up too much. These are all of the vitamin Bs, so that would be your riboflavin, niacin, thiamine, all those B vitamins. It would be vitamin C. So you can't really overdose or take too much of these types of vitamins because they don't build up over time. Now, the fat-soluble vitamins, on the other hand, they get absorbed, and then they go and they are stored in your body's fat. Because they are stored in the body's fat, if you have too much of them over a period of time and they build up, you can get too much of these types of vitamins. So these are vitamins A, D, E, and K. So all the B and C are water soluble. You can't build too much. They're absorbed directly into the bloodstream, and then any excess is excreted. The fat soluble are the ones you can build up too much. Those are A, D, E, and K, and they're stored in your fat. All right, well, that is it for today. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow, guys.